Hello, we're back. I feel like a news anchor. I'm back with another serious video. I feel like the last time I sat at this desk to film a video was when I was talking about why it's important to travel solo in your life. But I'm back with another serious video because in this video we're going to be talking specifically about travel lessons that I have learned. And you know, like most lessons that you learn, you have to learn them the hard way. Hello, what's up, and welcome back to my channel, Roam with Rach. My name is Rachel, and I make videos on fashion, travel, and environmentalism. So if you like any of those things, subscribe to me. Today for this video, it's another serious video, and I'm talking about travel lessons that I've learned. The first lesson is just about like keeping everything organized in your bag. If you don't keep everything in your bag organized, you will lose stuff, and you will be very sad, especially if it's something that's like very important to you. I learned this the hard way literally on my first big backpacking trip in Southeast Asia. I was in Thailand. I was in my first city of the trip, like 3 days into my trip, lost my sleeping mask. That was like my favorite sleeping mask at the time. And that's something that would have been very useful for the rest of my trip, but I lost it. It was so sad. Anyway, if you watch my packing videos, you know that I'm very specific about always keeping things organized and always having a place for everything and how advantageous and helpful that is. I talk more about specific packing tips in my packing videos, so go check those out if you want. Always just having like a spot for everything and keeping everything really, really organized. I know exactly where my sleeping mask is now because I have a spot for it that's always in a Ziploc bag that's in my personal item bag. Okay, like there's always a place for it. My next lesson that I learned the hard way was just about overpacking, okay? In the past, before I was a backpacking girly, I used to be someone who would travel with my big luggage everywhere I went. And I'm not saying that there's a problem with that. If that's how you like to travel, that's totally fine. Now I find it so much easier if I'm traveling with just carry-on only. It's cheaper, it saves you on airfare, and I think I'm relatable because I used to be a person who would say I can never ever do that. I just find overpacking can actually ruin a trip. I remember vividly the first time I ever went to Europe, I was going to meet my friend who lived in the Czech Republic. In my defense, it was around Christmas time and she'd been living in the Czech Republic for a while, so I actually brought all of her Christmas gifts that like her friends and family wanted to give her. So I had a bunch of Christmas gifts in my big suitcase, so that took up a lot of room as well. I remember just having to carry my big luggage on like cobblestone roads up a hill in Prague, and it was so annoying. And I remember vividly having to go and do my laundry at her boyfriend's house, and when I went and did my laundry there, I had to like lug everything, and it was just so awful lugging it in like the subways or public transit. And that workout and having to do all that really deteriorated from my enjoyment of the trip because I had to plan a lot of things around like, okay, how am I going to like get my luggage from point A to point B by myself? And I think this is applicable even if you're not traveling by yourself. Like, you don't want to force your partner or your friend to have to help you carry all your big luggage. No. Try to be as minimal as you can with your packing. Stop overpacking. You're not going to need that much stuff, okay? I'm giving you the hard truth because it actually can ruin the enjoyment of your trip if you are like that person with a huge luggage. You're going to have to spend way more money in airlines, and you're also gonna have to spend way more money probably in taxis because you can't walk as far as you would be able to with a little luggage. And if you are bringing a little carry-on luggage, make sure that you're able to pick it up comfortably because a lot of places in Europe and a lot of places that you go, it's not that easy to bring a wheelie luggage. The only time I brought a wheelie luggage recently was when I went to Sweden and Denmark, and that's because the areas I was in didn't have a lot of cobblestone roads and it was totally fine. But a lot of places, it's a pain to wheel your luggage. So just throwing that out there, okay? The next travel lesson that was really hard for me to learn is just making sure not to forget about big events or excursions that you've booked. When I was in Sweden, I had this food tour and I thought I had booked it for the afternoon, but I actually booked it for the morning. And by the time I woke up, like the second I was opening my eyes and looking at my phone, was the start time of the tour. And I didn't realize until like an hour after the tour had already begun. Thankfully, I was able to email someone and like figure out another time for me to go do that tour. But it could have been really bad because some places won't let you reschedule your tour. You're just, if you don't show up you're screwed. That's it. I recommend setting alarms and reminders for when you're going to be doing certain things. And then the night before, I try to keep things organized in a Google Doc. I'm big on using Google Docs when I travel because I can share them with my friends and family. But when I write out everything, I write out the time of the different excursions I booked. So a good strategy as well would be the night before, when you go to bed, always just reading over what your plan is for the next day. Because if I had taken the time to read over what my plan was for the next day, the night before, I would have saw that my food tour was actually for the morning, and I would have set an alarm so I'd remember to wake up for it. And if your food tour is in the afternoon and you know you're going to be out exploring, making sure that you're setting an alarm maybe like an hour before the tour starts so you have enough time to get to where you need to be, whether it be a tour, an excursion, what have you, making sure that you are able to get there in a timely manner. The next travel lesson that I've learned the hard way is just about booking excursions, okay? So sometimes when you're in a place, it is really easy to book excursions at the last minute. If you've been to Cambodia, going to see the Angkor Wat temples, there's like 50 million people that you will come in contact with on the street that will just come up to you and be like, oh, I will drive you to Angkor Wat. Like, I can drive you there. You might have to pay a little bit more, but like, you can figure it out last minute, and then when you're there, get your ticket. There are some things that you can't do that for. And a lot of things, if you're in big touristy areas, you can't just show up the day of and expect to get in. One thing that comes to mind that you can't do this for is like the Sagrada Familia tour in Spain. That's something that you'd want to book ahead of time. This comes with doing your research, but knowing what are those things that I can book and should book ahead of time to ensure that I'm going to go and see something that I want to see and I'm not wasting my time in that place. And then knowing what are things I can just book at the last minute and figure out as I go. And if you're like any average person traveling, you only have a certain amount of days in that city, and then you have to leave without seeing the thing that you wanted to see. It's so sad. The next travel lesson that I learned the hard way is just about accounting for your travel time and days where you're going to be exhausted. I found, again, on my first backpacking trip, there was a lot of learning moments with this. I would look at travel guides and be like, oh, they say 3 days is enough in this place, and I would just book 3 days. And I would do that for like city after city after city after city without taking into account that some days I would just need to chill. Obviously, that's different for everyone, and I am a pretty high energy person, but even with being a high energy person, there are definitely days where I just need to relax and do absolutely nothing. And so as I've gotten better at traveling and planning my days, I'm better at remembering like I will need a certain amount of downtime. And I hate to say it, but as I get older, that downtime increases more and more. I need more downtime. And so being mindful of this, like if you're going to be on a sleeper ferry, like I was in Thailand, for example, you're gonna be probably exhausted the next day. So taking like count of that and kind of being aware when you're planning, whether you're planning on the go or planning in advance, always just giving yourself some time to breathe. Like you can't do it all, and you would hate to like be doing all these things in such a short amount of time and be tired for all of them. If there's a crazy time difference in a place, I don't typically book things the first couple days when I'm in that place because I know I'm gonna be jet lagged. Just like remembering those things. That's a travel lesson that took me a little bit to learn, actually. Next one, if you watch my videos, you're probably gonna chuckle at this, but it is not bringing white clothes when you're going on a rugged backpacking trip, okay? When I was backpacking Southeast Asia, I saw so many people get their white clothes ruined at local laundromats because sometimes they'll just throw like a red shirt into the mix. But I just don't think that wearing white really coincides with backpacking at all. Like, I don't know, I love my white linen pants that I'm currently wearing right now. I think they're super cute for the beach, but they're more for trips that are like 2 weeks or under where I'm not gonna have to do laundry. If I know that I'm going to a place where I'm gonna have to do laundry, I'm like not really bringing a lot of clothes that I'm severely attached to because you just never know what's gonna happen. You also never know, if you're like me and you like to go thrift shopping in a place, when you're gonna have to buy some things and give some things up, right? It's so much easier when you're doing that like backpacker life if you don't bring anything white, but also don't really bring clothes that you care too much about. All right, that is it. 7 travel lessons that I had to learn the hard way. So I'm telling you so you don't have to, okay? If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below any travel lessons that you have learned the hard way or the easy way. Just any basic travel lessons. I love when people kind of comment things and we have this little community in the comments sharing travel tips and advice. It's so fun. Anyway, that is all for this video and I will see you next week. Bye guys. It's all for the serious desk video.